Hello and welcome to In the Spotlight with Quocirca, the definitive podcast on digital disruption in the print industry. I'm Luella Fernandez, Director of Quocirca, and today I'm joined by Phil Carter, Director of IoT and Managed Services at Lexmark. Today we'll be discussing how Lexmark have extended MPS into the IoT market. So welcome to the show, Phil. It's great to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks, Luella.
Maybe if you could tell us a bit about yourself and your career history so far and your role at Lexmark today.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, I'm actually an engineer by trade, although it has been a few years since I've been designing components. But I've held leadership positions throughout Lexmark. That means in R&D, supply chain, manufacturing, product engineering, even in our managed print services operations area. As part of that, led some teams that developed Lexmark's predictive service capabilities, started our data science and analytics team. So those are all foundational elements as we talk about this IoT offering here going forward. My current role is I do have responsibility for Lexmark for strategy and offerings in the IoT and MPS space in global marketing.
Okay, so we'll come on a bit later to your recent IoT announcement, but can you maybe share with us a bit about how Lexmark's strategy has adapted over the past year in response to the pandemic?
Yeah, well, first I'd say that printing and imaging, which is certainly our core, has remained critical during the pandemic. If you look at our managed print services customers, they've really been at the leading edge throughout. When you think about healthcare, retail, pharmacy, grocery, and more. It's certainly true that there have been impacts from a back office personnel not being in the office. You know, I'm working in a hybrid mode here with Lexmark today. And so as a result of that, pages in the back office are lower there for sure, but that isn't the central part of our business. And so we think we're actually well positioned there versus some of our competition. We have worked really hard during the pandemic to bring additional flexibility to our customers to support them in whatever environment that they're in. That certainly does mean support for the remote distributed worker. One example of that is our Lexmark CloudBridge data collection suite that we announced earlier in this year. And that lets us connect and support any device in any network situation seamlessly and manage it from a 15,000 unit network corporate fleet to a work from home scenario where there's a single printer that's just locally attached via USB cable. It just doesn't matter. It's the same level of support we would provide. We'd also note that our customers generally aren't looking for a personal printer in every single person's home. They understand that isn't cost effective, and even though things will be different with a hybrid type model, they do expect to see people gradually returning in some capacity over time. But we have been working a strategy for a long period of time to bring this additional connectivity, cloud flexibility to customers even pre-COVID. And so that fits in now more than ever with what they need. So even as we will talk IoT today, it's critical to note that print and imaging continue to be extremely important to Lexmark. It remains the core. And then we'd also note that our own that planning for our own business expansion has been underway pre-COVID. The pandemic's disruption has actually just accelerated that implementation, and we springboarded off our own digital transformation in MPS. And then what we've done is we've moved quickly to offer it externally via this Optra IoT Solutions Suite and the recently announced Optra IoT platform.
Yeah, no, it's really great to hear that Lexmark has really been innovating in that area of MPS, but now beyond MPS. So with regards to your Optra IoT platform, can you tell us firstly how you define IoT, because I think it is a very broad and diverse market, and also share with us a bit about the rationale for moving into the IoT space?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, IoT means many things to many people. And often it can just be marketing babble, honestly, to try to catch someone's attention. I say that as someone in marketing, but very simply put, it means any device connected to the internet. Once a device is connected, you can do many interesting and powerful things with that. And what we would say is it's not just enough to be connected or to have sensors on a device. You need a way to aggregate, to translate, to categorize, and to process that data. And then you also need to be able to connect it with other systems of record, connect that data with other systems of record to produce truly actionable insights through support algorithms, visualizations, reporting. And then even further than that, another step is needed. You must have operational and business processes in place to take advantage of those insights. So, well, what we'd say is the IoT itself is very simple, internet connected devices, but harvesting true business value and outcomes, that is very hard. And at Lexmark, we talk about companies that are stuck in IoT science fair mode is what we call it. That's what you often see. Maybe let's remotely make some lights blink or measure some sensors or turn things on and off, try this, try that. But really true IoT is a lot more than that, and it has to get to business outcomes. That's one thing we've noted. Another one I'd say is you'd hear the term that is thrown around in the IoT area, industrial IoT or IIoT. And that is often, not always, but it's often focused on manufacturing shop floors with equipment like presses and stamping and assembly line equipment. And that's not really our main focus here. With the Optra IoT platform, we're aiming to help makers of connected devices reinvent how they use IoT to deliver true business outcomes. And so we almost see it as an additional category that we're enhancing or creating. We won't be the judge of that, but distributed or commercial IoT. I was just going to give you our rationale. Why does it make sense for us to move into that market? And that's really because it's a natural expansion of that core print business. We have software and operational expertise that we can really naturally apply to this extension.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, because print and networked MFPs are probably the oldest IoT devices on the network. So it's a natural progression, I guess, for Lexmark to take that expertise. And it's interesting you mentioned about this IoT science fair mode. I've not heard that before. So that's what you describe as just basic capabilities on IoT devices rather than really driving business value from connecting those devices and driving business outcomes.
Yeah, and we think it's really tied to everyone is hearing more and more about IoT, that they know that it can be really transformative. Yeah. It's just hard to know where to start. And you really need a partner who can help you get the whole way to outcomes. Otherwise, it's little pieces of software being applied for maybe minimal gains or gains that are very solid.
Yeah, so it's not as proactive, it's more of a reactive model, I guess.
Reactive, not holistic, not as holistic as you'd like to be.
Yes. So in terms of business challenges around IoT, are you seeing any particular challenges that businesses are facing when they actually invest in IoT projects?
Yeah, Luella, we talked about the IoT science fair issue that we're seeing, and really connected to that is it's just taking too long to implement a true IoT solution that really gets to business outcomes. So you see companies stuck in pilot mode for a long period of time. I've seen numbers that say over 80% of companies are stuck in pilot mode at any time, and they can't get to those true business outcomes. And so here we're talking about enabling predictive support. We're talking about a more optimized fleet. We're talking about improved engineering efficiency. All those lead to value-added services for an OEM's end customers, and then internally, it's leading to their own cost savings as they look to support their end customers. So that's probably the biggest challenge. As we talk to companies, that they get the vision, they're trying, but they just get stuck, and that's where having someone who's been there, done that with a platform that really understands it can help them break out of that in a more cost-effective manner.
So you briefly mentioned Lexmark's MPS business earlier, and we discussed about potential synergy. So can you talk a bit about how MPS and your MPS platform connects into this overall IT solution?
Yes, the Optra IoT platform, it's really the same software platform that we use in our MPS business today. So our MPS business, with that platform, we securely manage over 1 million devices, 200,000 different locations all around the world with managed print services. So it's a very natural outgrowth of that MPS business. And if you think about from an IoT perspective, a printer isn't much different than any other connected device. It's electromechanical, there's sensors, there's internet connectivity, et cetera. We just talked about that. It needs operational support in place. Printers can break. Printers can run out of supplies. Well, that means you can simply replace a printer with a banking kiosk, with mechanized hospital beds, with industrial bucket trucks, et cetera. So you get the picture. There's a lot of connection there. And we were taking experience where we've been very successful, Managed Print Services, and then applying that to other OEMs of other connected devices so they can see the same business outcomes that we've delivered to our end customers. And then also empowering them to see the same internal benefits that we have seen for ourselves. And so some of those outcomes would be enabling predictive support and advanced service delivery. For Lexmark, we solve 70% of device support issues remotely. Providing an optimized fleet utilization and lifecycle management model. So for us, what's that meant is that we can support printer fleets with a 25% increase in placement profitability. It means enabling these customers to improve their engineering delivery, both in R&D looking forward with new products, and then current field engineering. As when we have applied the same concept, we have, with that platform, we have seen a 30% improvement in efficiency. And then finally, it means enabling the ability to move to an as-a-service model. For Lexmark, that's meant 40% of our revenue is now reoccurring and contractual. So it's taking all those business outcomes that are NPS business outcomes and then making them available for non-print customers through this software and our expertise. So yes, the NPS business is directly connected to what we're doing in this expansion. It's central, and customers get it. Luella, when I've talked to these customers and describe our NPS business as part of that discussion, its success and the direct connection between it and where their business can be taken with our assistance, I don't get any pushback. I don't hear, oh, a printer company can't help with that. That they really understand this natural extension, and they're hungry for our software and, importantly, our expertise to be applied to drive them to true business outcomes.
Yeah, and I guess those kind of companies, the manufacturers of those connected devices, really see the value of this kind of platform because they can see that Lexmark has already helped its customers to drive, service quality and delivery excellence by having proactive and predictive maintenance and support. But also for the customers, there's, business outcome benefits as well in terms of improved uptime, business continuity as well. So I guess it makes sense for a new connected device manufacturer to use those NPS capabilities for their own devices. So you mentioned earlier about your cloud platform, and I know that's quite integral to your NPS offering in terms of how you analyze data and devices and usage and so on. How are you applying artificial intelligence and machine learning technology to the Optra IoT platform, so in terms of cloud and data insights?
Well, let me step back just for a second to answer it. The Optra IoT platform has three main components, and really, in some sense, the formal name platform is really a little limiting. It contains an engineered platform for sure, but also a suite of accelerators and consulting services, and each one of those is important. So let me just run through them, and I'll make sure I hit your question. The engineered platform provides the technical base. So that means both the front-end device management and the reporting portal and the behind-the-scenes data connection pipelines, aggregation, system controls, all that's built on best-in-class cloud technologies that enables manufacturers to combine and operationalize all the siloed data from connected devices with their core business systems. Then the accelerator suite is really where that AI, ML comes into play. And that's where our predictive support and consumable algorithms are contained, along with pre-built and advanced visualizations and business process templates. Now, we certainly know that one device isn't exactly equivalent to another, and a printer isn't perfectly the same as a backhoe or a forklift truck or whatever it might be. But there truly are similarities between electromechanical devices, and that's where those accelerators come into play. So perhaps that algorithm suite is 80% stock, and then 20% needs to be modified and refined for the exact equipment that it's being applied to. But it's a starting point. It's a strong starting point as we engage with customers with that software. And then the third area is consulting services. And this is key because it is not enough just to drop a software platform on someone's lap and then walk away. That's sometimes what you see. So we are leveraging that expertise as a world-class NPS provider, where we've established and refined many of the exact same operational and business processes that will be critical for these customers to experience true business value. So this consulting is a key differentiator to help people move away from that. We mentioned that IoT Science Fair project. This is a key way and a differentiator for us to help them, because they're working with someone who's, I'll say, been there and done that. And we think that's really, really powerful. So Luella, to go back and just zero in on your question again, the AI, ML is in that accelerator suite, and that will grow over time as our client base grows and diversifies. Cloud, which you mentioned, we would view that as certainly connected but different, and that ties into the platform, as the platform can be hosted in the client's cloud in their instance, or we can host it for them. It's flexible. And certainly the data insights are embedded throughout, from the platform to accelerators to even how we execute our consulting services.
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier about the focus on connected device manufacturers, and I guess this needs a very different sort of go-to-market approach, and you've talked about sort of a multifaceted approach. Can you talk a bit about how you'll be addressing this, much broader IoT market in terms of your go-to-market strategy?
Sure, absolutely. We will have dedicated Optra IoT sellers. Those are in place today. These IoT sales are highly consultative and technical sales. And so we have a dedicated sales team that is their core mission. That's how they're incented. That's what they do every single day when they wake up. That's one. Then we also have a broad existing NPS customer base and a corresponding sales organization. And many of those print customers, they desire to see the business outcomes that IoT can bring. And they've seen how we leverage that, how we leverage the system to support them in print. And so it's natural to say, for us to discuss with them, hey, let's show you how you could use this platform in areas outside of print. And that sales organization, that NPS dedicated sales team, we're always looking to add value to our existing customer base. So it's very natural for them to expand. They're incented to do that and expand and bring additional value now in IoT to these existing NPS customers. So that's the second one. And the third one is that we have strong co-sell partners in place, and we'll be looking to expand that as time goes on. And this expands our reach with partners who will mutually benefit from driving the Optra IoT platform adoption. So more to come there. We'll grow that out additionally over time.
Yeah, so you mentioned you've got the existing NPS customer base and how you're going to be targeting some of those customers to extend their, relationship with Lexmark to cover their IoT devices. So have you got any examples or, particular industries that Lexmark is focusing on or will focus on? Any examples of companies you're already working with?
Sure. Let me talk about the approach to industries and verticals, and then I'll give you an example. When we talk about the Optra IoT solution umbrella and the Optra IoT platform, it's we call it vertically horizontal. I'm not sure that's a term, but that's how we view it. By that I mean that we span many different verticals, and it really has wide applicability. Any sensor device connected to the internet can be helped, so that makes it very horizontal. But now that I say that, there are certainly verticals that are more optimal matches. So you think about distributed industrial equipment, certainly medical devices, equipment in retail locations. Think about pharmacy or grocery equipment that are in those locations. Finance, even although a lesser extent. So there certainly are natural vertical fits as well. And that's why we call it vertically horizontal. But let me also give you one more specific example that I think shows how we are trying to help makers of connected devices find true business outcomes. And this customer they're a mid-sized medical equipment manufacturer. Their equipment is large, expensive, and censored. but connectivity to the devices isn't extremely consistent. They don't have a holistic back-end platform that connects data from their devices to their CRM and other systems of record, even though they have some software places in place today where the data currently lands. And they don't have the operational or business processes in place to fully leverage those data insights that they're trying to harvest. And so this is exactly where we think we can help with those three components of the Optra IoT platform that I described earlier: engineer platform, accelerator suite, consulting. And so they're excited about the possibility that, they know they need to be here. This is what's so exciting. They know they need to get there. But as they look at where they currently stand, there is not a way to quickly achieve that. And that is where we can come in. And we think we can come in more broadly because we have the tools and we have the expertise, and that combination is very powerful.
Yeah, no, it's been very interesting to hear, Lexmark's strategy in the IoT space, because I think, just generally in the print industry, there's a real need for manufacturers and even partners to diversify their portfolios and really innovate beyond that core business. So it sounds like Lexmark's really, making great strides in targeting the IoT market. So following on from that, could you maybe share what's next for Lexmark, even within its print business as well as IoT, in terms of your strategy going forward for the next year?
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about on the print side, continuing to add flexibility to support them in different network environments. Again, the hybrid work situation is not going away. I think we all understand that at this point, but it's optimizing it for our customers, being a partner, having the flexible tool set so that we can deliver service in any way that they need. That will continue, and that you will see our continued investment in that area as cloud as a supporting tool there. On the IoT front, a couple of things. Certainly, we're going to expand the number of customers we're engaging with on the ground. We talked about that multi-pronged go-to-market strategy, so we're excited to accelerate that now that we're formally announced. So there's many engagements in flight and more to come. And then additional solutions under the Optra IoT Solutions umbrella, especially focused on the edge. Now, we haven't spoken about that a ton here today, but the edge is really key for the future of IoT to make sure that decisions are made as close to or as far away from the device as is appropriate. So look for Lexmark to add additional offerings to the Optra IoT Solutions umbrella. And really the teaser there I'll give you is around edge as one exciting opportunity along those lines. And it's another area that makes a ton of sense for Lexmark to lead in, as essentially our printers are edge devices. And so all that captured expertise again with print can be applied here in an expanded fashion as well.
Yeah, no, I think, that's, absolutely agreed there in terms of, the print being an IoT device and at the edge, and, the value for extending those capabilities to other devices. So, it's been really great to sort of hear about Lexmark's IoT strategy. So in terms of market trends for the industry, can you share any predictions you have in terms of trends to focus on in 2022?
Well, I think we've touched on most on the print side, the hybrid model, what does support look like? That will continue to be, that will be the story of 22. On the IoT side, what we would note is, as a negative prediction, but we think that the IoT science fairs are going to continue. We don't see the industry consistently offering a true path to business outcomes. And thus, we expect a lot of starts and stops and disappointed customers, if we're frank about it. So that'd be one. And then, as I mentioned before, the edge is going to be key for IoT. End-to-end solutions are king, and the ability to offer both edge and cloud in this IoT platform space is going to be unique, further differentiated, and critical for 2022 and beyond. And then, I'd be remiss, but I'm going to certainly tie Lexmark in for 2022 as we see ourselves playing a major role in both of those areas. We truly believe that we've got a unique position to reinvent how makers of connected devices leverage IoT to drive these true business outcomes, and we're really excited for what that will look like in the upcoming year.
No, great predictions. And, I think it's really interesting to see how Lexmark is leveraging its expertise in MPS to this broader IoT market. So, I really appreciate you taking the time to join me today, Phil, and give us a bit more insight. So thanks again for your time.
Great. Thanks, Lola. Great to be here.
So thank you for joining today's episode of In the Spotlight with Quocirca. For more information, please go to quocirca.com and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is the last episode in Series 2. We'll be back in February for Series 3. I look forward to seeing you then.